Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Community Climate Hub Summer Webinar Series. And for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome to the Community Climate Hub Initiative. My name is Alicia Aaron. I'm a research intern at the Climate Reality Project Canada. Climate Reality trains leaders to share the urgency of and solutions to climate change. And they do trainings 3 times a year. The next one is in Seattle next week. And I'm going there, so I'll be joining some of you and hopefully many of you in the future who aren't as a climate reality leader next week. Our hope with this campaign is that the creation of community hubs throughout Canada will help raise the bar on climate action in cities across the nation. So we'll raise the bar and spur ambition at both the provincial and federal levels through municipal leadership. This webinar is the first in our summer series, so maybe you've seen some from the spring series, and you can see those on your screen if you're joining us through the webinar via video conference. I invite you to sign up for those upcoming that you can see there, and that you can find that at climatehub.ca. These webinars are meant for you to use. They're meant for you to exchange the best practices and tools that you can use to leverage your own cities to accelerate transition to a low carbon economy. So with that being said, to get started with the first webinar, we have Yves Hennekens, who is the president and founder of YHC Environment. Yves has nearly 30 years of experience in the fields of environment, economy, and policy analysis. Prior to founding this organization, YHC Environnement, in 1998, he served for more than 3 years as a political advisor, and spent almost 2 years working for Quebec's environment minister. He provides counsel on a regular basis to more than 50 municipalities in Quebec and across Canada in advancing renewable energy and sustainable urban development. He's directed and collaborated on more than 50 papers and studies for the Quebec Energy Board and the other governmental bodies. Since 2014, he's been the Quebec QUEST Caucus Chair. In addition, he has worked with FCM since 2008 as GMF peer reviewer. In 2015-2016, he was member of the judging panel for the FCM's Sustainable Communities Awards and Green Champion Awards. And with that being said, he's here to give us a quick guide to municipal GHG greenhouse gas inventories. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Yves.
Thank you very much. I have to share my video. Yes. Okay. So everybody can see the presentation? I guess so.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So, well, I will skip the, whoops. Gee. I can't move it. Diaporama. Sorry, maybe I made a. Yeah, sorry. I will skip this one because Lisha already made a good introduction with what we're doing with YHC Environment. So I'll go straight to the subject. So I want to, to explain a little bit why to give a quick guide before it's included in the guide. It's why we're doing it and how we're doing it. That there's a small history. It's not that long, but it's interesting to know. So we've been working on greenhouse gas inventory and action plan since quickly after the protocol Kyoto was adopted, not signed, but adopted. So in 1999. We started to work with the Quebec government to develop a way of measuring economic impacts to limit national greenhouse gas emission. In fact, it was to see how reducing greenhouse gas emission could impact different sector of the economy, whether it's residential, industrial, and to measure how it was affecting, helping, or benefits or costs. So we have to do it both. Was very interesting work we did earlier, like well, a long time ago. And in 2002, we started to work with the FCM and GMF to realize to do some greenhouse gas inventory. We started with, I think, one of the biggest inventory. We made the first big one of the first big one anyway in Canada. It was Laval. So we started to work with that, and we started to work with Saint Eustache and doing also regrouping greenhouse gas inventory with a group of municipality. We did it with UMQ and then with La QME. It was at the earlier stage of when we were starting and even discussing about the reality of climate change, because a lot of people were not even they didn't know what was a greenhouse gas, and some didn't believe in climate change. So we started to work earlier on those projects, and we developed methodology. And between 2009 and 2013, we had a program with Climat Municipalité, who was financed by the government, Quebec government. We did like around 30 greenhouse gas inventory and action plan. And after that, in 2013, we started we kept working actually with other municipalities in Canada, New Brunswick, and also in Ontario, helping them to build some action plan and community energy planning, which is related. With more than 50 municipalities developing new approach, community energy planning, as I was saying, with greenhouse gas action plan. And also, well, it's kind of put benchmark, because after 2013, things changed a little bit. The program, there were no new program, and people came back to the FCM, GMF fund to realize some greenhouse gas inventory and action plan. So with the Accord de Paris in 2016, things are changing, and we're working on, we developed a platform, a web platform to publicize, which is really important for greenhouse gas inventory for municipality, to show what's the level of greenhouse gas inventory, greenhouse gas emission, and also to show what's done. That's a really important thing during the process. You know, inventory is a tool to do something. And we also, with this tool, this approach, we had the two first municipalities reaching PCP milestone 5 in Quebec. They are with us in the Action GES. I will show you this site later at the end of the presentation. So again, I go back. That's how we evolve along for almost 18 years doing greenhouse gas inventory. So I took the same benchmark, but saying a little bit what's the evolution about the methodology and the approach that we use and we recommend, or anyway, the one we're working with YHC, sorry. So there were no methodology. We had to build it at the beginning. And when I was saying in 1999, we were building it. You know, we had the international standard. We were developed, but it was kind of development approach. Quickly, ICLEI came and PCP proposed by the FCM. They proposed a way of doing things with proposition, spreadsheet, and stuff like that. So we used those tools quickly because, first of all, we were working with GMF. It was very interesting, and we kind of developed it, and we developed some methodology for some sectors. I will talk later about sectors and the influence of a sector and the municipality itself. You say, what's the distinction between an inventory and a baseline? So also quickly, some discussion actually initiated by the American before leaving the Protocol of Kyoto. I'm not signing it. It was to create a stock market for carbon, and they did that for the actually in the States. They succeeded with the acid rain. For I don't know the English word, but they had a problem with the acid rain, and they did control it with the stock market system, like selling some rights to pollute, and over those rights you had to pay some, not fine, but you had to buy some credit, and it succeeded well. So they proposed a system in the for the reduction of greenhouse gas emission. And a lot of methodologies were developed, not a lot, but I would say a couple of methodologies were developed to measure those greenhouse gas reduction based, established on a baseline. So inventory, we were already moving from the inventory concept or definition through a baseline definition, and we noticed, well, we were a spectator of this race for carbon credits. A lot of money were involved. Anyway, they were talking about a lot of money and saying that was a big opportunity, a big shift in the economy, that the carbon economy and things like that. It was an interesting development, but it went not to an end, but came back to a really basic level in 2013 with the carbon market crash. Actually, I put a small graph. You see all the price crash, and all the system did not disappear, but really came to a really minimal level. So as I said, the crash was not from very high. So since 2016, with the Accord de Paris, we're coming back with the GHG baseline and with the the credit carbon. But we notice that those credit carbon are more related with big emitters. For a while, between before the crash, I would say 2006 to 2013, we were talking about aggregate carbon project. It was an interesting idea, but it's pretty complicated and pretty expensive. So we went to since the last 2 years, we do work a lot. We do a lot of greenhouse gas inventory and CEP, community energy planning project, and it's more oriented on greenhouse gas reduction project versus carbon credit. So both are still in the scope, but it's really more to succeed and to have greenhouse gas reduction, and that's a big influence on how for municipality to do a GHG inventory. So why doing a GHG inventory for municipality? To help reduce greenhouse gas for the municipality itself, corporate. And I will explain what's the distinction between the corporate and the community, which is a big one, which is relatively easy depending on the sector you're targeting. Why, again? To help to reduce greenhouse gas for the community, local action plan, which is criteria for the GMF and FCM to at least adopt a local action plan, which is a lot harder. So why doing and how doing it? It's by identifying, sometimes my English, I trip on my word, identifying projects, greenhouse gas inventory, and by monitoring results, greenhouse gas baseline, which it's an important distinction for us anyway. So what is or should be a greenhouse gas inventory for a municipality? By definition, I would say I'm talking inventory and baseline. Inventory is more general GHG emissions estimation, evaluation of all sectors. So we have an emitter, which is the municipality, and we cover all sectors, which is buildings, transport, waste, refrigerants, HCFC from cooling systems, stuff like that. That's an inventory. You're taking all sectors and you're evaluating, estimating greenhouse gas for all sectors. Baseline is more a sectorial emissions estimation. It is more precise and with a lower error margin, but it's more local. It's more based on a specific methodology, a specific project, for example, buildings, or for example, transportation, cars, or for example, for landfill, extracting, using the methane and producing electricity, then you produce a baseline. You know, you use one methodology to calculate your greenhouse gas emission. So for the type of I would say, of greenhouse gas inventory, you will have corporate emission, which is based on real data and estimation. Real data, so we use real data based on energy consumption. And there are other sources like waste, for example. We have to go with estimation, and which is as I was saying, as an inventory, there are two sectors. There are others too, like I was saying for HCFC, and I know it's not a good word. Maybe somebody will type me the good wording for réfrigérant in French. So the other type is communities emission. So there's no access to real data. And you will probably ask me a lot of questions or a couple of questions about that. Real data are not available. So for two reasons, they're not collected, and that's kind of intentional, but also because they're confidential. So commerce and industries don't have to share those data. So for the national or provincial system for greenhouse gas reduction, well, they have to provide it to the government directly. So we use, for our local GHG inventory, we use data which are available, confidential, and stats. And there's also a limitation on stats availability. I was talking actually with Matthew, and I was saying that there is since I started to work on doing greenhouse gas inventory, it's been a while. It's harder now to have those statistics because they're not collected or provided that like they were before. I would say 17 years ago, it was easier to get that kind of data. I will probably make a comment, but I will do it later because there's a thing with, as corporate inventory is very important, local emission, greenhouse gas emission inventory are less important or less essential. As long as you can, if you have project, you can use baseline. So you can get information data more easily. Sorry, to calculate baseline. So how do we proceed? So for greenhouse gas inventory, YHC used PCP equally methodology and approach. It's an open and free methodology available on FCM website. They provide direct tool, website tool, or spreadsheet where municipality can fill up and use, and they have like coefficient, and they're updated well annually or constantly, I would say. We adapt it. For us, we do adapt those spreadsheets, and we use those system and coefficient at the base. We for the municipality for a good reason, because it gives us a common base to compare every inventory we're doing. For a project baseline, which is because we do action plan, greenhouse gas inventory action plan, and community energy planning, but we kind of our firm, we like to work. Well, we target to work on project, innovative model project. We do those. We realize those projects for since almost we started to work, and we have to calculate greenhouse gas reduction, establish a methodology, specific methodology for each project, because it becomes a baseline. So we use PCP equally methodology as a base, but also we have to we cannot use other methodologies. We do it. We use those inventory for monitoring purpose and eventual carbon credit if we reach level that are high enough to cover the cost of validating, because it's a process. It's a complex process to do a baseline, to validate the technology and a way of calculating it, and after verify. There's 3 levels, pretty expensive. So to cover those costs, you need a big, substantial greenhouse gas reduction, and or a potential good price for the carbon credit you will be able to sell. We also developed a tool in the last 2 years. We developed a tool because what is really important doing an inventory, it's to give the information to the municipality, not necessarily to say how much greenhouse gas emission you're emitting, but it's more, I would say, more importantly, it's to point out project, telling what with your inventory, what did you find, and what project were becoming opportunities, or kind of also a responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emission. There's 2. Well, since we work and we're an economist firm, we're not engineers, so we usually put the argument of economics benefits, financial benefits of switching, and can be direct benefits, but also indirect benefits. So using more renewable energy, for example, in the local and regional area, keep money. It's not also better for the environment, for the greenhouse gas reduction, but also keeps the money inside your community, in the region. And that's really, really important in a sustainable development approach and philosophy. So it's really important. So coming back, we made this tool to help the municipality to go further than just present an inventory and an action plan, but actually showing what you're doing, which project is going forward. And as we have this financial approach, we think that an action plan it's a number of projects like assets, and when some projects are not working, you change, you go with you shift, you do another project, and if it's more, you choose your project for two reasons. It's the cost is interesting, and the reduction, greenhouse gas reduction, are important, and or it's you have like economic benefits related to greenhouse gas reduction. So you built a portfolio of assets, and some projects cost you money, and some others can generate a lot of financial benefits. And overall, you fix a target, and then you can have a sustainable plan that can finance itself and or generate revenues. Beside the fact of those impacts can be financial direct benefits, but also indirect benefits, like bringing money in your community and in the region and or in the province. So shifting for oil to renewable energy is a good economic and financial, and I would say sustainable development solution. So saying that, I'm coming back from my last comment about there's a big thing, and I'm sure someone will ask me about the community local inventory, which we are asked to do that, but it's very difficult. And as I was saying, it's only useful not necessarily by the numbers you're showing, but especially to show where there's big emissions. So we'll notice that where the electricity, the main source of energy used by the population, we say ICI, industry, commerce, and industries, including residential, you'll see that, well, then it's transport. So that will show you some sectors where you have to adopt new technology, and change your way of doing things to reduce their carbon print. So that's about it for my presentation, but I will show you an example of the platform we're using, and just confirm, can you see it? Do you?
Yes, yep, we do.
Okay, So you see that's, and the English version will be ready pretty soon because we're working in New Brunswick with OMB. So we have this inventory, which is for the local and for, maybe I go too fast, showing all sectors, source of energy used and related to emission and the community. So this is, we present a summary of the inventory, the municipality inventory, local and corporate. And we also, and for us, it's most important, well, yeah, it's more, I can say it's most important, it's the action plan. So I'm showing you Civil will reach, which is the first municipality in Quebec reaching a 5 milestone, PCP milestone. So what we're showing is, well, the target, reduction emission, level emission, what they reach, and also the portfolio, projects portfolio. And then we, for the community also, we show you that. And then we show the results of the project. You can see it here, covoiturage, politique content, anti-idle policy, télémétrie, comportement efficace. And we calculate greenhouse gas emission reduction the municipality could reach for the year, a specific year. And it gives to the population, because it's accessible for everybody to see what's going on with the action plan and slides. So municipalities every year, we update for municipality every year what they're doing. And also we, once in a while, every 2 years, we can update the greenhouse gas inventory, which is important also as a base to see the evolution, where there's things to do and where they succeeded to reduce their greenhouse gas emission. Well, I think that's about all.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Yves, for joining us and for sharing your expertise. Again, almost 30 years in the industry. And we will include in the minutes or in the notes from this webinar the websites, your website for YHC and the Action GES, voilà, website as well. So thanks so much for that. I'll take very briefly 3 minutes or 2 minutes to describe the campaign or the Climate Hub initiative. And during that time, I'd invite our audience to pose questions. So down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A area, and that's where you can pose questions about what you've just heard from Yves or what you'll hear just now from myself about the Climate Hub campaign. So at the moment, we have been working with citizens and climate reality leaders in these 6 municipalities across the country. And we, in August, will be launching another 6 municipalities. If you would be interested in leading a group in your community, and have a look at climatehub.ca for a little more context as to what that might look like. If you would like to lead a group in your community, please feel free to reach out to us, contact@climatehub.ca. The idea is to draw in a diversity of citizens in your community who will support ambitious municipal action. So reach into religious communities, to professional communities, into lifestyle communities, young mothers, senior citizens, and essentially draw them together around solutions that everybody can agree on. And that can frequently be done through public consultation, and funding for public consultations is available through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So if that's news, then you can head to our webinar gallery, where you can find the representatives of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities describing which programs are eligible for their funding. And there's a lot of support there at the Federation's level. Great. And what we're proposing for all of these groups, all of these communities across the country in 2018, beginning 2018, we'll be benchmarking progress from each city. So each citizen hub, each community climate hub will report back on a few metrics from their city. You know, is our city providing open data, or are they hoarding it, as Yves kind of alluded to? Are businesses that operate in the city being transparent about the emissions that they're creating? Eco-fiscal measures, urban planning, transportation. So we'll be asking the citizens groups to provide a few metrics from each of these categories, and those are in development right now and will be continued to be refined over the next few months. So thank you so much again, Yves. I'll now have a look at the questions so that we can answer any questions that we have from folks on the call. So we have one here. What kind of funding is available for initiatives like this other than the FCM programs? So Yves, would you want to speak to, let's say we have a small municipality that is interested in conducting a greenhouse gas inventory, and they're looking for financial support. Are there other avenues other than the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to draw support from?
Well, yes. In Quebec, no. For a moment, no. I don't know for most of the province. In New Brunswick, there's the Environment Trust Fund. They finance some inventory, but actually association, for example, we work with UMNB and AFMNB, which is the French association. So, you know, I would say, from what I know, the big source of money to funding for municipality it's really FCM. It's especially with the new program they have to. It's really FCM. I don't know. Probably in Ontario there's another fund. Oh yeah, there's a Toronto environmental
atmospheric fund.
Yeah, but I would say it's with the money given by the FCM, I think it's not really, comment dire, the word efficient is not a good word, but it's, you know, FCM is giving good money. I don't think it's municipality provinces need to put more money for inventory, but more for project. Actually, I have to say something. And for inventory, it becomes, and I guess it will become more and more like that. There will be less and less money to do inventory, but more action plan, climate adaptation plan, and stuff like that, which is the second step. Municipality will have to do it themselves or finance it, most of it by themselves, beside FCM.
In fact, we did speak with FCM about this, and municipalities like yours, Victoria, would be eligible for not only funding for the inventory part, but also funding for the climate plan development. So if you wanted to apply either for inventory or climate plan development, then the FCM can inject up to 80% of costs for those programs.
Exactly. But in fact, it's they don't finance only inventory. You have to do your action plan, and you have to be a PCP member. To be eligible to get the money for the inventory, you must be a PCP member, and it's mandatory. And then, but then, yes, you're right. They can go with the action plan, adaptation plan. The tools are kind of opening, but the inventory part, it's become more a base, you know, a work base that municipalities should do. But as I was saying, you have to target why you're doing it, you know, because if you're doing it, you have to go somewhere.
Right. Okay. We've got a couple of other questions here, so pull them up. So, oh, more of a thank you for the response to your question. And so, with respect, and Victoria mentions that her community is not an FCM member. And there are two envelopes, in fact, of funding for FCM. There's an envelope that is strictly for members, and then there's another envelope of funding that is available to every municipality in Canada. And they receive that money from the federal government with the contingents, with the understanding that the money would be, everybody would be eligible for that funding. So they are managing another envelope, I believe, to the tune of $60 or $75 million in order to help communities develop action plans. And within those action plans, what we are asking hubs to do is push for serious public consultation, because an action plan, as many cities have found out, is not sufficient for implementing. They need citizen support. And the way you get often citizen support is through broad-based consultation. And you make sure that key stakeholders are engaged from the beginning in developing the plan. Great. All right, so we will leave it at that for now. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And we wish you a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Thanks, Yves. I'll just turn it over quickly to Alicia, who will wrap us up really quickly, if you'd like.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you, Yves, again, for sharing with us your knowledge and expertise. We would love to invite all of you listening to come and join us for the next, no, not physically, but over the intertubes, to join us for the next webinar on Tuesday, the 27th at 5 p.m. Eastern, which will feature Mike Soren of the Dogwood Initiative, and also our very own Matthew Chapman, who you just saw talking. You can sign up for those at climatehub.ca. That's the place to go for everything. That's the center of all information, climatehub.ca. It's the screen that you can see, this screen here. And if you have any questions, please write us an email and you'll be hearing from us soon. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.